harvesting onions, the main indicator that they're ready is, well, the bulb has sized up, but also the greens start to collapse. So they look kind of like they're dying, they're desiccating, they're wilting. So the greens here are still green, but they've fallen down, and so I know it's okay to pull them, and the bulbs are of good size. So that's what we're doing today. As you can see in this bed, there's still a few that are standing upright. Here's an example right there, but most of them have fallen down, and so I'd rather get them out of the field. Also, we're gonna be going on vacation at some point, so I need to get them out before we do that, even if a few aren't totally collapsed. These beds have gotten pretty weedy, but it's all right because as soon as I harvest, I just weed the bed, and then I let the weeds stay on the bed, turn off the irrigation, might cover it with straw just until we're ready to plant the next crop. So here I'm harvesting onions from one bed. Once I get about an arm load, I walk it over to the processing station where I've got a little buddy helping me cut it to the right length. And I'm taking the stack he's already cut and putting it on the rack where they're going to start curing. Even young children can help with this task. The one too young to use the scissors is handing onions to the other child while he cuts it to the length that I specified. We're curing onions. We stack them all the same way, cut them with about a foot of green to help them cure, and then they just kind of snuggle. So lay them, this was the first row we laid, and then the next row is just kind of nestled in there until you finish the bed. We've got some hoops on top of this rack, and I just have an old clean sheet I'm gonna drape over, and we'll run a box fan to get some extra circulation going through here to cure them. And then we don't buy onions all year long. It's great. By the time we run out of the ones we've stored or they start getting kind of gnarly, the spring onions are ready for the next year. So this is the quick box fan air circulation I was talking about. You don't have to do it in a greenhouse. You could do it in a garage that's open or any place that's not gonna have direct sunlight and you can get some air circulation. But these were cut a couple weeks ago and they're drying nicely. They're really almost ready to trim. There's a little green still on some, so there's still some moisture. But once they're brittle, you can go ahead and trim them. But they're looking good. So I showed you what we do when we actually harvest the onions and then prepare them to cure. But once the onions are cured, it's a really quick next step to get them ready to just put in storage for the season. So you can see this is where we cut it before, that approximately foot length, and it's all dried and shriveled up. The roots have kind of dried, so I don't even worry about cutting those. And then I just trim it closer to the actual onion bulb and then set it aside. So this is what I'll pull out of the cold storage, or you could just leave it at room temperature. It'll last for several months. Since we're using these onions for the ear, we go ahead and put it in our cold storage, which, you know, it's warmer than a refrigerator. It's more like between a root cellar and a refrigerator temperature, but then they last for a really long time. We have noticed that this is a red candy variety, and the other variety we grow is yellow candy. The red candy doesn't last nearly as long as the yellow candy for whatever reason. So we try to eat those first, and those tend to be the ones customers really like anyway, so it works out. We also grow less of them, knowing they're not going to store quite as long as the others. So again, just cutting it near the bulb, it's ready to store.